Welcome to Heart of the Homestead family. I'm Sarah.
I'm Caroline.
I'm Allie.
And I'm Heidi.
Join us as we talk about all things homesteading.
Okay, we have recently learned that Allie has a favorite vegetable that is not very common. So we all want to be educated on this vegetable. So, Allie, what is your favorite vegetable?
Parsnips.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I love parsnips for a variety of reasons. I mean, I love the taste of them, which is probably the first and most important part. If you don't love the taste of them, then all the other benefits of parsnips are going to be irrelevant to you.
What does parsnip look like?
Okay, so it looks kind of like a white carrot.
Okay.
Like they're always white, but they're a little bit wider at the top and a little bit pointier at the bottom than a regular carrot. Carrot is a little more uniform typically, but these have like sort of a broader top.
It's more like a wild root in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're a bit wild still.
Yeah, they haven't like bred them in the same way as they have carrots.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but they grow similar. Like it's a root vegetable. So you plant the seeds in the ground directly, and then they will grow. You'll see the green tops coming up. The tops look different than carrot tops. They look a little bit more like maybe a turnip or a rutabaga type leaf at the top. As far as I'm aware, the leaves are not anything worth eating. So I've never done anything with the leaves on them. But they're great because you can plant them very early, a lot earlier than most other things because they are a very cold tolerant crop. And then they overwinter amazingly here. I haven't had very much success with overwintering some other things like carrots and beets, but parsnips have been so easy. Yeah.
And they taste like a carrot?
No, they don't taste like a carrot. They're kind of their own unique flavor. Typically, they're sweeter. Now, if you want to make sure they're sweeter, you have to wait until after there's been some frost in the fall before you harvest them, which, like some other things like Brussels sprouts, those also are sweeter, or kale, they're sweeter after a frost. That applies also to parsnips, even though they're a root vegetable, so they're not quite getting that cold air, right, like they would be if they were above ground. But they're definitely sweeter after a frost. So usually I'll plant them and I'll harvest some of them in maybe late November, early December. I'll kind of watch the weather, and if it's about to get really cold and I'm worried that the ground might freeze, I'll dig some up before that happens, and I can keep them just in like a Ziploc in my fridge for quite a while. They last quite a while that way. If we get a thaw, say in like late January or early February, and the ground is soft enough that I can dig it out. Now that being said, I have very sandy soil. So if someone has clay soil, there may not be an opportunity over the winter to do that. It may never thaw enough that you can actually dig those out. Though if you try planting them in a raised bed, you may have more success if you have clay soil. But so I'll usually get some at that time of year, and then the rest of them, which is usually most of them, I'm digging up in late March, early April, once the ground is thawed again. I'll get to the rest of them then and bring them in. Because then there is a bit of a timeline. If I leave them in when it's getting warm and the days are getting longer, there's the risk that they will go to seed. So the root itself will start to sort of shrivel up, and that energy that has been stored in the root will then go into the leaves again and make seed. So I don't want that to happen. So now is the time that I want to actually get all of them out of the ground and into my fridge and into my soup pot and into my oven.
What are you doing with them in the kitchen?
One of my favorite things to do with them is parsnip soup, which is just pretty simple. A recipe that I have for it uses mustard and maple syrup, which I know mustard can be a polarizing flavor for some people, but and together they might sound like a funny combination, but it's delicious. And it's also maple syrup season. So now we have maple syrup and we have parsnips at the same time. But another easy way to use them is in like a stew, or if I'm doing like a roast beef, just have some kind of in there cooking around the roast. But another great way is roasted in the oven. So
that's my favorite.
Yeah. You can get like some other root veggies and some Brussels sprouts and some bacon. You just roast that in the oven. It is delicious because it gives it a nice flavor when it's roasted. Different than it would be in the soup, but I think they're great.
This episode is sponsored by Meadow Lynn Market Garden. We grow quality seedlings and plants in your spring plant sales. We have a CSA box, and we also have strawberries on the farm. So check us out in June. Come by the farm. We'd love to see you.
One of the challenges, though, is that it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to commit a section of your garden for basically a whole year. Because if you're planting them in April and then you're harvesting them still in the next April, you're not going to get like a multi-crop with that. And if you plant them too late, they're slow to grow too. So if you were like in July, you got this epiphany that you were going to plant parsnips, they're probably not going to be very big because they will slow down their growth before the winter.
So if I plant them in April, when can I first harvest them?
Not until like November. So they are in the ground for a long time. That is admittedly a drawback to them. They're not a fast-growing vegetable. But every time March comes around and I'm itching to get out in my garden and you're looking around and nothing's growing yet and it's way too early to start anything new, it feels like I've given myself a gift from last year that I can go out and I'm actually harvesting vegetables that I've grown from my garden at a time when nothing else is ready. And that, combined with liking the flavor, are probably my two favorite things about parsnips.
Yeah. I have to admit, I don't like growing them because they take so long.
They do, yeah.
And they're like carrots. Like, if once they get weedy, like, it's hard to keep them clean, and they're in the ground so long. You have to weed them all the time. Like, I have no patience.
Yeah.
I wish I could, because they are very expensive at the store to buy, and if I could
That's
grow
true.
them myself, I really enjoy eating them. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's probably one thing that prevents people from thinking about them or giving them a try, is that they are expensive at the stores.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get your hands on them, try them once, see if you like the flavor. And if you do like the flavor, it's worth buying a pack of seeds and trying to grow them.
Yeah. The one nice thing is the seed is a lot larger than like a carrot seed.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's easier to space them out so that you're not doing a lot of thinning later.
Yeah. So but yeah, same thing. If you don't get them in the ground right away, and they take a long time to germinate too, right? Like they need the carrot. So
They do.
yeah, you gotta make sure you keep them watered, and they need a lot of babying, I think, up front. But
They do.
Yeah.
But then they're pretty good, and you can just leave them. Like I said, I overwinter them without any extra effort. I'm not like piling up a lot of mulch on top of them or really worrying.
Right.
They've always just been content little vegetables to wait for me until the spring.
Nice. Alrighty, well, we've all learned about parsnips, and if you think that you would like to try out parsnips, get those planted in your garden. Be patient, very, very patient. But Allie says it's well worth the time and the wait to have parsnips in your kitchen.
For more information about the podcast today, visit us at heartofthehomesteadfamily.ca. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Plus, send us an email with your questions and comments. Enjoy filling your hearts and your jars.